we're back with Erik Vermaat. Next question is, why study astronomy? What's so important about astronomy?
Yeah, that's a good question. You might think that because we are, as a group of volunteers, we are interested in astronomy, that we expect everybody else to be interested in astronomy, but that's not the case at all. Astronomy is what people call a gateway science. It opens a door to basically any science, other specialized science you can think of. Astronomy is arguably the widest research area in all sciences. And it's very easy to, especially for young people, to get them interested in astronomy because there's so much happening nowadays. Almost every day in the newspaper or wherever, social media, you can read about new things that have been discovered, new expeditions that are being planned and things like that. And so that's easy to get the interest. And once you get that interest, it's more or less natural to evolve out of that is the interest for physics or maths or chemistry or biology, whichever the interest of the person is. But you have an entrance and a reason to be interested in those sciences. In New Zealand there is a lack, and I think it's global, there is a lack of interest in the sciences among young people. This is really a serious issue. And it's being discussed in many countries, and here in New Zealand we should have that discussion as well.
I guess part of it is so much of what you learn at school or on Earth can be applied to space, can't it? And there's also so much more out in space than what we could possibly even know on Earth, isn't there?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
So therefore astronomy is much wider than anything you learn on Earth, isn't it?
Yeah, but name any science and it is somehow used in astronomy or in space science.
Exactly.
It's not only the physics and the chemistry, but also biology. We are looking for life elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's very much biology, but also the humanities, sociology, psychology. If we are sending humans to Mars, they have to sit 9 months with a few other people in a tin can. How can humans do that? I mean, these are really serious issues. So it's not only the exact sciences, but it is the behavioral sciences that come into the picture as well. The whole industry of astronomy and space science is the widest possible area you can think of, and we need anything that humanity has ever done in terms of science. We need that one way or another. So our focus for astronomy is not because astronomy itself is that so much of interest. It is, but it's the entrance especially for young people, to get an interest in whatever sciences makes them tick and makes them what they think is interesting.
And
so we are really strongly motivated to do this for that reason.
And there's so much out there that's still undiscovered too, isn't there? So
we're only scratching at the surface.
There's no reason why a New Zealander couldn't make the next big discovery, and some already have made big discoveries, haven't they?
We have some great New Zealanders in recent history, that have made major contributions. We have Nobel Prize winner like Rutherford.
Yes, Rutherford from Canterbury University.
We have good examples, but
and Roy Kerr, wasn't it?
But we are not looking. If you ask me, we're not looking for those exceptional individuals only.
No,
they should have a chance. But we can use so many people who are interested in engineering and in physics and whatever you name it, who can become part of the space industry. Here in New Zealand we have now a very successful launching facility, which is in the news all the time.
Rocket Lab, yeah.
The Rocket Lab, yeah. So, and this is the start of a space industry in general in New Zealand.
And then there's a growing astro-tourism industry and...
Yeah, that too.
There's a number
also an employment thing, but in terms of science,
in New Zealand, isn't there? Yeah.
In terms of science, I believe, and also development, I think we need as New Zealand. There's no reason why we shouldn't build up an industry to participate in space research. Why wouldn't New Zealand be participating in that? I had a discussion with a group of students at university recently about membership of ESO, that is the European Southern Observatory. It's cost a heck of a lot of money to be a member as a country of that group, but as a country outside Europe, there is an opportunity that we could join. And if we would have the industry that could compete with the top level industries to make components of spacecraft, for instance, we would have access to that. And on the other side, we would have access to the data, the research that's coming out of it. So our universities and our astronomers would be fed with the results from those experiments. I think New Zealand should play a more explicit role internationally, and we can. I'm convinced. There are people working on those things. We have a space base in New Zealand now. People are really promoting to build up a space organization in New Zealand, space agency even maybe. And what we are saying to the Oxford students is, and we had this Mars Week, this major event last year, there is no reason that any one of you could not be an astronaut. If that would be something that interests you, there is no reason that because you're from Oxford that you couldn't be one of those.
Well,
we have all those opportunities.
Do astronauts need to be like highly educated in astronomy, or can they just be anyone?
They need to be expert in some science, really top level.
But they'll need pilots.
And then of course physically they need to
They'll need engineers. They'll need all sorts of things on that ship.
Yeah, they have engineers, biologists, geologists. If you go to the moon, you need to be a geologist. All kinds of disciplines. Yeah, definitely.
But that's at least 10 years away, isn't it? So it's the generation of today's students are going to be the astronauts, aren't they? It's that generation.
Exactly. That's what we talk. That's why I love talking to those people, that age group, because they are the ones that will come in.
It's going to be someone. It could be one of them, or it's going to be someone their age that's going to do it, isn't it?
Yeah. They need to open their horizon and think big, keep dreaming.
Yeah.
Last year we had this exhibition which I put together for Mars, for this Mars position, and I had a set of videos running in kiosk mode, and there was one video of an astronaut, a NASA astronaut, female, Peggy Whitson.
Yeah, from a rural town, and
she grew up in a rural town somewhere,
like
even
Oxford.
smaller than Oxford.
Even smaller than Oxford.
People told her when she said, "I want to be an astronaut," that's not for you, that can't happen. She is now the most decorated female NASA astronaut ever. She has done most of the tours in the International Space Station. She has been commander twice. She has all the accolades. So she is living proof, and that's what she says in that video. You can find it on YouTube.
And we just had
that's what she talks to young people, that you dream big and follow your dreams. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something.
And we just had a local school principal, haven't we, Boo Windsor from View Hill School, that went to space camp.
Yeah, Boo Windsor. Yeah, she went to
and she said exactly that too. That she wanted to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
But her father, who was a pilot, said, "Oh no, you're in the wrong hemisphere." But she met an astronaut at space camp, the same age as her, a woman astronaut, whose father was also a pilot, and she'd said, "I want to be an astronaut," and she was in the right hemisphere.
Exactly.
But today we're not in the wrong hemisphere. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, does it?
It's a small world nowadays. And, again, wherever you live in New Zealand or anywhere else, you have all these opportunities if you just set your mind to it. And this is one criticism I have about education in general. We need to challenge, and in a positive way, our young people far more, instead of pushing them into certain channels. Okay, you need to learn these things. Feed their curiosity, which is a natural feature of all children, and let them follow their interests, and never ever give them the impression that they couldn't do something if they wanted. The sky is literally the limit in space science. Well, it's further than the sky, it's space.
Exactly.
Space is the limit, would be a good expression actually.
There isn't really a limit in the sense, is there, of what can be discovered in space, is there, with the new telescopes they're building, are they?
Yeah.
What is the limit?
Oh yeah, sure. And that's why I would like to have more young people in my courses. The ideal combinations which we have is that we have parents and students coming in.
Yeah.
This is awesome, because whatever we have discussed, they take that back at home to the dinner table. So that's great.
Yeah.
For both the parents and for the students. But I would like to have more young people in these courses, also from our own school. That is really something. If there's one wish I could make, it is to get more of our own students in that facility, coming back to the very beginning of this interview, we have a totally unique facility in Oxford, and we should use that to the max.
And it doesn't just have to be used by Oxford either, does it? But conceivably...
No, but our own students should be the first ones
for sure,
at the door, knocking at the door.
Oh,
hey,
exactly.
tell me about astronomy. And why is that not happening? I mean, not across the board. So I really would like to see more interest from our local students, and also their families.
Wider, but also wider in North Canterbury and in Christchurch as well. Can easily... It's not far to go out there for a
I have a
field trip,
father and a young girl's daughter. They come from Woodend.
Yeah.
They have attended now 3 of my courses since the last 2 years.
Okay.
They're unstoppable. They come from Woodend. So yeah, of course, it's fantastic. As long as you have an interest and you see that these opportunities exist, then it's why not?
Exactly.
So, we can grow. The problem, of course, is the manpower.
So you need
We
more
only have 3
volunteers,
and maybe now 4 volunteers, and that's all we have.
So you need more people wanting to learn how to operate a telescope
That would be awesome.
and to run classes, I guess, too. And
Oh yes, and I would like to see senior students to take over some classes.
yeah,
I've had some experiments, and it looks promising, but that is something that takes time, of course.
yeah.
But yeah, I would like to give students themselves teaching experience. We are totally free to do whatever we want. This is absolutely fantastic, and so we can use that to the max in all kinds of directions. And yeah,
So you're only
young
limited by
people
your
are
imagination.
definitely my main target group to do all these things for.
Another question, Sasha?
Anything else you want to add?
Well, that was what I just covered.
Yeah.
With the young people.
Do you have another question? You have a question you want to ask, Sasha?
Wasn't that 10 minutes?
Oh, it is, but anyway, that's okay.
Or we can talk about the international
we can go
things.
Yeah.
We haven't touched on that yet.
Yep. Yeah, well, there's lots happening in space, isn't there, Sasha?
Yeah, we've got International Space Week coming up. What do you think New Zealand will be doing for that?
Yeah, that's why it's so easy to get people interested in astronomy, because every day you can read in the newspaper or in the social media things that are happening. Just this morning there was a landing of an Indian spacecraft on the moon, and I heard that it has crashed, sadly. This is a new country coming into these advanced technologies of sending somebody to the moon. That's just an example, but there are so many things, and there are events happening. We have World Space Week coming up next month. It's an invitation to all kinds of global organizations globally to organize events and things like that. So there are, there is so much happening.
Yeah.
And internationally there is a strong move, many organizations who are promoting what we call outreach, that the general public is being involved in stargazing and lectures and what have you. And that is exactly the things that we are doing in our little way here in Oxford.
Yeah, and there was an International Women in Astronomy Day earlier in the year too, wasn't there?
Yeah, that was at the beginning of this year, I think.
Yeah, February.
It was very important. Sadly, there were very few people from Oxford. There was a lecture in
it was a good turnout
Christchurch,
overall, wasn't it?
We tried to promote to people, especially parents with daughters in this case, because it was focusing on women in astronomy. A very important topic.
But there was a good turnout.
There was a very good turnout
on the day, wasn't there? And there was a lot of interest.
And we had our own, if I may say, Angelica Angles. She was the one. Angelica, she's Spanish. She just got her PhD in Hong Kong, and she was with us at Mars Week last year.
Yeah.
So she was a guest there as well. She could talk about her own, and she did, about her own experience. She has, I think, 3 different master degrees, different countries she has studied. She has a fantastic background, as young as she is. So yeah, and we had the local scientists of the astronomy department in Christchurch talk about their work that they do and things. Those are major things for the young people. I wish that more people in Oxford would take note of those opportunities to attend. So those are things that we are working on. I have good contact with a group of students at the University of Canterbury, the New Zealand Student Space Association. They are a fantastic group of students, and they organize events and things like that, and I give them ideas for events as well. I've done some things myself.
Yep.
So yeah, we in any direction that we can develop these things, in particular for giving opportunities for younger people to attend and to get interested.
Yeah.
That's yeah, it's fantastic that we can do that.
That sounds good.
Thank you.